Hey everybody, this is Leslie and you're watching Midlife and Nailing It. If you could please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, I'd really appreciate it. Today I have for you a What's for Dinner video. I post one of these every Monday. I hope you enjoy. For this meal, I start with a liner in my crock pot. I'm going to be making some Mexican chicken rice bowls. I'm starting with a pack of chicken breast here. You can use any pack of chicken that you'd like, probably that are boneless. You can put them into the crock pot for this meal frozen. I'll also be adding in a handful of cilantro that I'll just run a knife through and chop up coarsely. I'll be adding the juice of 2 limes. I'm also adding in a packet of taco seasoning mix. This time I'm using Trader Joe's, but you can use whatever seasoning you'd like. You also want to add a jar of salsa. I'm using the Trader Joe's Cowboy Caviar. If I wasn't, I might add a can of corn and a can of black beans as well. This is what the ingredients look like when I put them into my crock pot. You can use whatever variety of chicken, salsa, and taco seasoning you need. Those at 3 ingredients at least. And then the rest of it you can play with. I just use kind of whatever I have on hand. I really like the lime juice and the cilantro in there. And then some type of beans and corn. But if I don't have those things, as long as I've got the chicken, the salsa, and the taco seasoning, I'm good. So I go ahead and cook this on high for about 5 hours because my chicken was frozen. And then I just take 2 forks there and shred it up. For the rice, I go ahead and put a little bit of olive oil and heat that up in a pan. And I'm putting 1 cup of rice in there. And what I'm going to do is toast that rice up. This is actually what I do to make any kind of white rice. So I'm just stirring that rice around and letting it toast evenly. Rice is always 1 part rice, 2 parts water. So a while ago, I wanted to make some Spanish rice and I didn't have the ingredients. So I grabbed this cheap mild chili packet and added it to my rice. And it turned out so good that this is how I make my Spanish rice now. So I just put it in there and give it a stir. Now, if you just wanted plain white rice, you would just leave the seasoning that I added out. Or if you wanted a flavored rice, this is when you would put it in. So since I did 1 cup of rice, I'm pouring in 2 cups of water. I'm going to bring that to a boil. Once it's boiling, I throw a lid on, turn the temp down to a simmer, and then I let it simmer for 10 minutes. For toppings for my rice bowl, I've got sour cream, some store-bought pico de gallo, and some Trader Joe's taco sauce. This is what my rice looks like when it's finished. This is what my chicken taco bowl looked like plated up. It was so delicious and always a crowd pleaser. My family loves this meal. The super cool thing about the recipes for this meal is that it could very easily be a taco night or a nacho night. You could make a lot of different things out of the chicken recipe in the crock pot as well as the rice. So this night I decided to make a sausage kale potato soup. I was totally inspired by one of the ladies that participated in the One Pot Meal collab that I contributed to. I'll include a link to that playlist in my description box below. So I'm just browning up 1 pound of sausage here. To that sausage, I am adding 1 onion sliced up, a little bit of red pepper flakes, probably a teaspoon there, a teaspoon of salt, and 3 garlic cloves chopped up. So into the pot they all go. Once everything was browned up, I went ahead and drained the grease off. And then I added a 1/4 cup of flour and mixed that all together and let it cook a little bit to cook off the flour taste. To that, I add 4 cups of chicken broth, and then I add 4 cups of milk. I think I used whole milk here. The recipe I was using did call for 3 cups of milk and then later 1 cup of heavy cream. I just didn't have any heavy cream on hand. You then want to add about 4 to 6, depending on the size of your potatoes, diced up potatoes. And I do leave the skin on because I think this should be more of a rustic soup. But of course, if you wanted to peel your potatoes, you could. At this point, you should have your pot on a medium heat, and you want to bring it to a slow boil. It should look like this. And you're going to boil your potatoes for about 20 minutes. You'll be able to tell that your potatoes are done when you can easily put a butter knife through one of them. Next, you're going to add about 5 cups of kale, and it will seem like you're adding a lot, but kale actually breaks down the same way that spinach does. So I'm going to add that to my soup, and I just add it 1 handful at a time, and as you can see, it's breaking down pretty fast. So it'll seem like you have like a mound of kale on top of your soup, but it really stirs in quickly. And then you want it to still be at that rolling boil, and you're going to let that cook for another 15 to 20 minutes. So yeah, this is how quickly it gets stirred in. This is just for me stirring it for like 5 seconds. So this is what the soup looks like once the potatoes and kale are cooked through. At this point, what you want to do is take your soup completely off a burner, and then you're going to add a 1/2 cup of Parmesan cheese and some salt and pepper to taste. And yes, I'm using up 2 different packages of Parmesan cheese, 1 shredded and 1 shaved. I also add my salt and pepper, and then I stir that all together. And just like that, my soup is done. It smelled amazing and it tasted so good. So this is what my soup looked like plated up, or I guess I should say bowled up. I just threw on some oyster crackers. It was so good. It's such a comfort food. I highly recommend this recipe. I'll include the recipe in my description box below because there is a lot of detail to this one. So for this meal, I decided I'm going to make BLTs, potato salad, and baked beans, and I'm using whatever I had on hand. I had 4 of these cans of sliced white potatoes, so I just drained them and throw them in a large bowl. I'm also adding a diced up red bell pepper, as well as a green pepper and about 1/4 of an onion. I also slice up some radishes. I'm going to add salt and pepper to taste, as well as some Miracle Whip and a little bit of mustard, which I forgot to film. So I mix all those ingredients up. This is what my potato salad looked like when it was finished. While I was making my potato salad, I diced up the rest of the onion, a green pepper, and a red pepper, and threw it in a Ziploc for my beans later. So all I do here is I've got a large can of the original Bush's baked beans, and I just get that into a pot. To that, I add my bag of vegetables I cut up earlier in the day, some salt and pepper to taste, and a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and I stir it all up. You want to cook that on a medium heat, stirring occasionally. I'm using thick cut bacon here. I line my cookie sheet with aluminum foil, and then that's going to go into a 400-degree oven, and this actually took about 20 minutes. If you're using regular bacon, it would take 10. So this is what that meal looks like plated up. We toast our bread for BLTs, and of course I've got Miracle Whip or mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato. Thank you so much for watching this week's What's for Dinner. I'll see you soon.